So, welcome everybody. I just want to first thank you. Howdy from Kansas. Hello, Dan Hunt. I just want to thank you for your time. What I love about this is it's a Saturday, and the fact that you're here lets me know that you are my type of people. You are my type of people. I'm obsessed with this material. It truly does carry me through my life. We have South Africa, Ireland. Oh my goodness. Your time is the most valuable commodity. It's how we spend our time, it's an investment. Time is the biggest unit of energy, the most powerful unit of energy that we can invest. So this is not spending our time on a call. This is investing our time on a call. My hope by the end of this is that you're more clear, you're more connected, and your intentions are set for the weekend. Not just the weekend, but the rest of the year. Wow, we have less than 5 months now before 2025. I remember when people always used to say that. I'm like, oh, don't scare me. Come on. I just wanted to, head down and keep doing what I was doing. But I quickly realized the way I was moving was not getting me the changes that I desired in my life. And that's why there's things like the Napoleon Hill Institute that we're a part of. I see some of our beautiful coaches, Jen, Bono, I see over there. And actually, I want to start off with something that I was inspired by you, Jen, something that we have access to. We study the Think and Grow Rich book, obviously. And then there's the guided journal, and it has wonderful questions and kind of reflections, prompts, if you will, for us to reflect on every day of the year, 365 days of the year. So with this call, we'll be here for about an hour together. If you have to hop off before I understand, I'm going to go through, it's kind of like an appetizer of the things that we do. And I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to go behind the scenes into things that the public does not ever see. So I'm going to give you a smattering, if you will, a little taste of the things that we do behind the scenes. Because a lot of you have came here because you have joined our events online, the free events that we put towards the public, and we love your feedback. But we were just thinking, like, if you think that what we do for free is good, can you imagine what we do behind the scenes for the programs that we offer, right? And we take pride in that. What we offer for free is better than other people's paid offers. So if you can just imagine the value that we give on a daily basis. But what do we study behind the scenes? I want to go through some lessons and really touch on things that have changed my life. If any of you don't know, my name is Carla Elizondo. I am a principal teacher here at the Napoleon Hill Institute, a certified coach, a mindset coach, and a licensed psychotherapist. I have my master's degree in counseling psychology. I work as a therapist by day and a coach by night. But I love teaching. It has truly transformed and changed my life. I always say it's a matter of life and death. It truly is. When we work on ourselves, in my therapeutic practice, I am my own first client, by the way. I always seek help from a therapist when I need help as well. But, there's a difference between these popular quotes like self-care, take care of yourself, I'll meditate, journal when I can, when I find time. It's like, these aren't just suggestions when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to our spiritual health, when it comes to our personal and spiritual development as people going after our goals in life. It's a non-negotiable. And so when I opened up this call, I said, you are my type of people. You are the Napoleon Hill Institute. You are attracted to this. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this. We don't do any ads. Do you know that? We're a multi-million-dollar business and we don't do any ads. We do no ads. We attract. And of course, we will do ads in the future. But, that's just a side note. But can you imagine how much power, right? And it's not us, it's all of us together. We truly create a master mind, as Napoleon Hill talks about. We are the type of people that like to work on ourselves, that go the extra mile. You're probably the person in your life that is always taking care of everybody else. People are coming to you for help. People are like, what are you reading? People are interested in what you're doing. You're a leader. We attract leaders. Napoleon Hill talks about not outwitting the devil. What is a leader? What is a drifter? Right? When we're drifting through life, I was the biggest drifter. Oh my gosh. When I was able to admit that to myself, I was such a drifter. I did not want to admit that I needed help. I was so prideful and so unconsciously prideful, unconsciously stubborn, maybe consciously stubborn, but, and I was a victim. I would get so upset. I had such existential rage at God, at the outside world, just like, I'm a good person. Why isn't things working out for me? I was doing all the personal development work. I was going to all the seminars, right? The free online events. I was listening to the videos, reading the audiobooks, but nothing was changing. Well, I realized, all right, Carla, you get what you pay for. And although the, YouTube University, which I love, is wonderful, I was ready to take it to the next step. And so I started asking questions. I started going to calls like this, kind of like, okay, I've gone to the events, but like, what's next? Right? And whatever level you're at. But during this call, I want to teach you, I want to focus on really shifting paradigms, and then I will go into a little sneak peek behind the scenes. So, and then you can ask any questions that you like. I trust that you have your pen and paper notepad ready to take notes. I want to start off with something that I was inspired by one of our coaches, Jen Bono. She was in the guided journal, the Think and Grow Rich guided journal. And as we all know, the famous title of the book, Think and Grow Rich. There you go. Lisa has it right there. She's holding it up. I love that. I love that too. Look at you, Sandra. I love it. So when we think about riches, what are the riches of life? We think it's monetary, but make no mistake. Napoleon Hill, when it comes to monetary or money, when it comes to riches, that's the last of the 12 riches. The first one, positive mental attitude. The second one, sound physical health, harmony in relationships, freedom from fear, hope of achievement, capacity for faith, willingness to share one's blessings, a labor of love, open mind on all subjects, self-discipline, capacity to understand people, and financial security. Let's be rich in all of these areas. Be rich in a positive mental attitude. How do you talk to yourself? What's your mental diet? Be rich in physical health. Do you feel good in the vessel that your soul is residing in? Do you have harmony in your relationships? Do you have a burning desire? Do you have a hope for achievement? Are you abundant in that? Do you have an open mind? Are you rich with an open mind? I sure wasn't. I had a very closed mind because I thought I knew everything. Are you rich in self-discipline? Are you rich in the capacity to understand people? And finally, I think we can all agree we'd love to be rich in financial security. So those are the 12 riches of life. We would love to be rich. I sure would. And I'm experiencing that more and more. And it's relative. Being rich with financial security is different to each person. And it's a beautiful thing. But let's not be afraid. Let's not feel guilty to really tap into that. So as I mentioned, I was inspired by the guided journal. So I want everybody to reflect. This is an active hour. We're going to work together. The 12 great riches of life. What makes you feel wealthy? For example, having a fully stocked refrigerator, having control over when and how you work, having a zero balance on your credit cards. So I want you to reflect right now. If you want to write it down, just close your eyes and kind of tap in. What makes you feel wealthy? Just take a deep breath. Really drop into your body. What makes you feel wealthy? Is it when you're hugging your loved ones? For me, it's when I'm hugging my nieces and nephews, my family. Also, when I do have a fully stocked fridge of my sparkling waters, when I have I go to Costco and I get a big old thing of LaCroix and I stock it in my fridge, I feel like I am like a rich rapper on MTV Cribs. I'm like, look at my fully stocked fridge. I feel so luxurious and abundant. I call it opulence. I feel so opulent when I have a fully stocked fridge with my, sparkling waters. You know what else? When I get in my car and I have a full tank of gas, I'm so grateful. I have a full tank of gas. I'm like, wow. I remember when I was like putting gas on my credit card, I didn't have enough money. And I live in California, so we definitely were in troubled times there. But what makes you feel wealthy? I want you to just feel that. And how does it feel? So he goes on to say, Think and Grow Rich is prefaced with the question, what do you want most? What do you want most? Is it money, fame, power, contentment, personality, peace of mind, happiness? In later works, Hill recognizes the great forms of wealth into the 12 riches of life, which we went over again, a positive mental attitude, sound health, economic security being the last one. But what's most important to you? Honestly, when I look at this, positive mental attitude is everything. Being in the therapy world and, the world of psychology and working with people every day, a positive mental attitude, if we don't have that, it does not matter how much money we have. It does not matter how much gas is in my gas tank. I'm going to be miserable. I will be absolutely miserable. And health, right? If I'm not healthy, mind and body, those are the two most important riches of life. Wouldn't you agree? Then one that sticks out to me is freedom from fear. Freedom from fear. Unfortunately, fear is extremely luring. Fear is the biggest tool, as Napoleon Hill says in Outwitting the Devil. And it's not like devil, like, with a pitchfork, that kind of devil. It's just the kind of the shadow. It's those voices in our head that keep us down. It's our nemesis. It's freedom from that. And that is so intoxicating. It's a very hard, I call it a drug. Fear is a hard drug to put down. We are pumped with it 24/7 from the outside world. And it's the biggest tool that is used to control people. I had some notes written down, being sucked in, especially these days when it comes to fear, ways that expresses, because it might not be conscious. It's anger, outraged, being offended. Because when we're angry, outraged, and offended, it's really because we feel threatened. We feel threatened. And so let's really think about and reflect on what kind of conversations are we having? Are we watching the news? Are we, scrolly-oling in news on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube? Are people arguing and fighting about opinions? That's the perfect way to control people and keep them in a state of fear, aka a state of anger, offense, separateness. It keeps us pitted against one another, whether it be in a family, in an individual relationship, a family, a town, a country, a world. And I think we can all agree it's very prevalent. So when it comes to, the Napoleon Hill Institute and Napoleon Hill and all of this stuff, we live in a different world. We live in a different world and we practice every day. And that's why it's just my pleasure that you're spending your time here so that I can show you a little bit, like open the doors into the Institute. Because usually we have like metaphorically, I speak in a lot of metaphors. We invite you all to kind of picnic on our lawn. And it's great, but let's go inside. What do we do every day to really live and embody this? Some of you know my story. Yeah, I'm a coach and a therapist and all this, but I used to have debilitating anxiety, depression, addiction. I used to use alcohol to cope. I knew no other way. Poverty mentality. I was raised, my dad's from Mexico. I was the first generation. He's an immigrant. It was just, it's embedded. Lack mentality, poverty mentality, survival mentality, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. We're not here to shame, blame, or condemn ourselves. It's just, let's look at it. How is this working for us? It doesn't feel really great. These are the 12 riches of life. I want you to just kind of pay attention to those. So for me, the first two, and then the freedom from fear. And they're all wonderful, but those are the three that pop out for me. Because it's usually fear that keeps us from a sound mind and body. That's what keeps us from a sound mind and body. So I want you to just reflect on what makes you feel wealthy, what makes you feel opulent. I love that word, opulence. It makes me feel opulent. Like this shirt makes me feel opulent. This is a necklace I got from my sister, Melissa. And right before I got on, I said, I'm going to wear this. It's like, everything's energy. Everything holds energy. Everything has energy. So I want you to look around your space right now. What do you see? Every single thing holds energy. I have this beautiful microphone. It was gifted to me by one of my mastermind group members back in 2020. It was on my doorstep. I was telling him, I can't find this microphone. And it's one of those, here, I'll pick it up. You know those blue Yeti the blue Yeti microphones, and they come in different colors? I loved the white one and I couldn't find it. And also I didn't really have the money for it. And I was actually, it was 2020, I was just I was in practicum, I think. No, I was just practicing and everything was shut down and I was in a lot of fear, right? But in this material, really working my way through, and I had the fear of poverty. I was afraid I wasn't going to make my rent. And I walk up and outside of my apartment door is this box. And I open it up. I was just in tears. I said, oh my, what a blessing. So I said, I want to surround myself. I mean, I already did surround myself with people and it just gave me hope right away. I felt so luxurious and abundant, even though I was fearful that my bank account was running low. Jim Williams, I love you so much. Thank you for this. I could just cry right now. But this is the type of generosity and of spirit, that the type of people that we attract, all of us here. So I want you to realize that we are in this sacred container right now of energy, even though we're on Zoom boxes. Really soak it in. There is nothing but love, high frequency, penthouse vibes, as I say. Are we living in an emotional basement or in an emotional penthouse? We here, all of us, live in such an emotional penthouse. Do we drop? Sure. But how quick do we get back up? We can pick each other up in a heartbeat. And that's what's so important. And I think that's what's missing in the world of personal development or any, coaching courses or classes, is that they're digital video courses that you watch and you do your own worksheets, but we have live calls every day. Like this, joining Zoom every day, except Sunday. Every day. We have that self-discipline camp, which a lot of you are in. You got that for free with our last event. And we've been really blown away by the feedback. People are saying it's literally saving their lives. They didn't have the will to get up. They had just been through tragedy. They were depressed for years. They had no purpose or reason to get up in the morning. But for those 30 days, they did. And it totally shifted their vibration, their frequency. So I want to dive in. Let's see. This is from one of the classes that I taught in our Think and Grow Rich mentorship call. We have it every Tuesday. And this is a PowerPoint presentation that I put together for the participants and the students in that course. I myself am a student as well. We have Dr. Joe Vitale now, the president of the Napoleon Hill Institute. He teaches, which that's when I said, when we first started, I said, I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to show you guys a little behind the scenes that nobody has access to. But Dr. Joe Vitale teaches in that class, and you're live on there with him. You can ask him questions. Cleon O'Hara, the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Institute. Joseph Rodriguez, I don't know if any of you are familiar with him. So he is a YouTube sensation, truly. He has over almost 500,000 followers on YouTube, and he is such a fan of Napoleon Hill. And he breaks down, of course, Napoleon Hill's books, but so many other books and ideas. If you're into mind-expanding ideas, he teaches those. So you want to check out Joseph Rodriguez on YouTube. But back to this. This is the slide deck that I put together, and we were talking about that week, how to outwit the 6 ghosts of fear. They're the darkness and the shadows that keep out the light, period. And these are all in our mind. So let's take inventory of ourselves before we get started. Let's take inventory. What's happening under the hood? Where are you at today? What fears are you addicted to? Conscious or unconscious? What fears? And like I said, fears show up in the places that we need to control, that we feel upset or angry about, that we feel offended. That's how fear shows up. Where are we hurt? Where do we feel threatened? And it's not just physical threat, like I'm afraid someone's going to attack me. It's like a threat of an idea, a threat of our opinion, of our point of view. Do we feel threatened by other people because they don't believe the way we believe? That's how fear can insidiously show up in our lives. And fear is the biggest and most destructive addiction. It's the most destructive addiction. And like I said, it's the most intoxicating. And it sneaks in the back door and no one is immune to it. But if we're not consciously working to stay in a place of regulation, we are by default drifting into that because it's what's in the atmosphere. Before my undergrad's actually in film and television. I love to teach. I love to perform. I really love to speak. And so all of the talents kind of came together later on in my life. It's beautiful. But I remember I was in a journalism class, Journalism 101. I did a little bit of kind of like reporting for the local cable, and I did stuff like that, doing some stories. And I remember the first day we walked in, like syllabus day we called it. They said, all right, number one thing you need to know about the news and about media is if it bleeds, it leads. If it bleeds, it leads. We do not share good news. We might have one segment that's good, but we want to keep people's attention. We want to keep them in a state. They didn't say this, but it's a state of fear. They really said of emotional engagement. Well, what does that mean? Showing them all of the things that make us in a hypervigilant fight or flight state. And we very seldomly stop to think, wow, is it ever going to stop? Oh, once this is over. Oh no, then they found something new. Oh no. Oh my God, this is never going to stop. They're just reporting bad news. Oh, they just want to keep me in a state. Oh my goodness, I'm just going to turn it off. And then you kind of look into it. It's like, wow, who's investing in these? Oh, they make a lot of money. Oh, people are paying them. Oh my goodness, this is a whole business. Wow. And it's quite frightening. On a lighter note, I want to break the rules. I want to take you inside. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to watch a little bit of a video behind the scenes of one of our exclusive Napoleon Hill Institute Think and Grow Rich mentorship calls with Dr. Joe Vitale. So make sure you get your pen and paper ready because it's filled with such nuggets of wisdom, and beautiful. For whatever reason, it's just not here, but everything works out for me, and that's one of my affirmations. Everything works out for me in the most miraculous ways. This is beautiful. And if you want to put while we wait in the chat, what is one of your biggest fears? What do you find yourself addicted to? What do you find yourself addicted to? What's something that really gets you? What's something that you find yourself continuously pulled towards? Yeah, fear of not being heard. Welcome to the club. Me too. Fear of not being heard. I'm afraid of not being good enough. Sandra, my goodness, thank you for sharing. Yeah. One of my fears as well is not being taken care of. Like my needs aren't going to be met. Yeah, Alicia, fear of not being good enough. This is the number one thing. You know what? In my therapy practice, I do something called, I love somatic, because psychotherapy is just talk therapy, which is beautiful. But I really love to dive deeper into more somatic body work because trauma is held in our body. So I love EMDR, which is eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing, that bilateral stimulation. When we move our eyes or we tap, we stimulate both hemispheres of our body and we process trauma, as well as parts work, internal family systems parts work. I was trained by this beautiful man. He always called himself Henry, but Danny. His name was Henry, but he called himself Danny. God bless him. So Danny from Texas works at the Veterans Hospital with a lot of veterans from our country of the United States, the service members who have trauma, who've been to war, who are working towards things. And fear of old habits creeping in. Yes, thank you. So he trained me in EMDR. There was a veteran who was so traumatized just by the gunfire that he was in, I think, a Home Depot one day. And you know how they have lumber and you're in this kind of home improvement store and these blocks of 4x4 wood like popped on the ground. It's kind of a big warehouse, so it made a big sound. The man didn't remember anything. All he knows is he came to underneath one of the tables that was one of the demonstration tables. He had blacked out, got so scared because he still had trauma, thought it was a gunshot, went underneath the table and came to in the middle of like a Home Depot store. He had no conscious awareness of doing that, but that's how trauma reflects in our body. It's unconscious. So remember, we know things. Like when I say, I know that, do I really? Because it would show up in my life. Your subconscious mind runs your whole entire life. And we highly underestimate the power of the subconscious mind. And that's what Napoleon Hill was talking about in all of his books. We have the power to control that, but no one teaches us this. I want to show this video here, or this portion of the video. So I'm behind the scenes of my back office. So this is inside. If you can see, you'll see my little picture here, my programs. So I'm a student just like everybody else. And this was one of Dr. Joe Vitale's, I believe this is one of his first teachings of this mentorship program. So let's go ahead and listen a little bit. This is about setting intentions. So let's pay attention.
Is by having an intention. And I invite all of you to have an intention for this hour, this experience. I think this goes for 90 minutes. You have 30, 45 minutes or an hour with me. We will have questions and answers. But what would you like to have, do, or be out of this time together right now? You don't need to tell me, you don't need to tell anybody, but you do need to tell yourself. There's lots of reasons for this. Napoleon Hill always talked about having a burning desire. What I do is break it down into segments throughout the day. What is your desire for this segment? What is your intention? What would you like to receive? You tell your brain to look for it when you state an intention. And obviously you can do this throughout your days, throughout your weeks, throughout your months, throughout your years. I do it all the time. I pause before getting on a call like this to ask, what is my intention? Because I want to be here to be present and to inspire you to achieve what you want or even more. So just pause for a second and ask, what would you like to have, do, or be? If anything is possible, if you can conceive it and believe it and achieve it, then what would you like to have happen in this next hour or so that we're together? And you might write that down so you have it in front of you and you can refer back to it. That's going to be the guiding light on what you pull out of what I say or anybody else says.
Let's just pause right there. We'll continue in a second. But what do you want? What is your intention? What do you really want? I want everyone to just take a moment. What do you really want? What do you really want? Right now. We can want many things throughout our life, but right now, Saturday, August 10th, 2024, what do you want? What's most important to you? if you could have anything, no guilt, no shame, no judgment, just keep that intention in the back of your mind.
Having that intention gives your mind a seek and find kind of a target. So, what's your intention? Now, I did bring a show and tell, which is as close to preparation as I get when I present. And the first show and tell, everybody here knows, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. It's a wall plaque. I just received it the other day. I don't even know which wall I'm going to put it on. But it's my favorite quote of all time from anybody. I wish I had thought of it. I wish I had written it, but I didn't. We all know Napoleon Hill did. The original comment was, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Well, we've adapted to the times and we're including humankind. So whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I wanted to take a moment to look at it because I have heard people criticize this. I've heard people say, oh, if I can, if that's true, then I can fly through space without oxygen. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you come up with a preposterous example to try to prove this statement wrong? But instead, I walk them through it. And this is what I want to do with you to begin this. Whatever the mind can conceive, that just means it's a possibility in your mind. Maybe with your imagination, you can visualize flying through space without oxygen, or a ship in a sci-fi kind of a way. Your imagination takes over and says, yeah, I can just fly through space. Okay, fine, you can conceive it. Can you believe it? And that's when I find people go, well, no, I can't believe it because I can't really do it. Well, now you're proving this statement right. Because the statement says you have to conceive it. So it's a possibility in your mind. Maybe you can imagine it. But then the next part is, can you believe it? You may not know how to do it, but can you believe it's possible to do it? If you can believe it's possible to do it, then you get to the finish line, so to speak. Then you can achieve it, and believe it can achieve. And I always point out, Napoleon Hill did not say you will achieve it. He did not say you will achieve it. He said you can achieve it. And this is a big difference. I was on Russell Brunson's 3-day challenge a week or so ago, and I was dissecting this very quotation. And I was pointing out that Napoleon Hill was a wordsmith. He chose his words carefully. So when he said you can achieve it, he meant that. He didn't say you will achieve it. Why? Because, first of all, you have to take action. This is the number one thing that people either do wrong or don't do at all. And it was one of the big criticisms of The Secret, is that it seemed to act like you didn't have to do anything. It was magical thinking. Just visualize it, just use your imagination, feel it real, and the doorbell will ring, and there's your bike or your car or your spouse or your soulmate or your money or whatever. Well, I believe in magic and miracles. I do like it when the doorbell rings and there is a nice, joyous surprise there. But more often than not, I've learned that I actually have to do something. Life is a co-creation. And even then, there's not a guarantee that you'll get what you want or what you stated that you wanted, because you could get something better than what you wanted. So you just stated an intention for our time together. And hopefully it was something you could conceive. Hopefully it was something you could believe. And then, of course, by taking action, it's something you can achieve.
All right. That was literally just 7 minutes of one of the calls that we're so blessed to have every week. And it is fresh and it is new and it's live and it's in real time. And so that's why I feel so lucky. And I think a lot of people don't know, when we like scream from the rooftops how excited we are about this material and how life-changing it is. I hope you're able to see a little bit of why we say that. Because if you could see on my list, there is so many, I mean, well, I have access to the replays from last year. It's like they just keep adding, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many wonderful nuggets of wisdom every single week. Every single week. And so I love that he talked about, because that's the number one people say, oh, think and grow rich. You just think and grow rich, but that is the problem that we all have. If you can conceive it, which we all can imagine and wishful think and imagine and do all these things, which is great, daydream. But can you believe it? That's usually where the rubber hits the road. Can you believe it? If you don't have faith in yourself and that self-confidence and taking those leaps leaps and surrounding yourself with people that reflect it back. If you don't have the faith, lean on other people. That's why we have mastermind groups and everything else. So we need help with belief. Nobody really needs help with conceiving. Maybe some people do, getting back into their imagination because it's been beaten out of them. But most of us can conceive. But it's where we believe. Can we really believe? No, because a lot of us don't feel worthy. Oh, that was the point. I went off on a tangent. My trainer, my EMDR trainer from Texas, he told me, Carla, he had an accent. He goes, Carla, he called me Carla with a K. Carla with a K, I'll tell you what now, it doesn't matter where they're from. The number one thing that everybody has a problem with, they don't feel worthy. I don't care when you get down to the nitty gritty, they don't feel worthy. You like my Texas accent? All right, that's what it is. It's worthiness. Do we feel worthy? If we don't feel worthy, we will never believe we are worthy of anything. So that is so important, to surround yourself with groups of people that make you believe in yourself so you can believe in your goals and dreams. Believe it. Now, to achieve it takes action, as Dr. Joe said, and as Napoleon Hill says 77 times or more in Think and Grow Rich. People read the cover of the book, they totally poo-poo it, which I don't blame them. But if they were wise enough to open it and ask questions, you would see immediately it's all about action. And nobody likes to take action. I hated taking action. I just wanted things to show up. I wanted to watch The Secret and have things just pop up, and I'm lucky, I'm blessed. It's like I'm just magical. I don't want to take action. I don't want to change. So I continued the way I was. Going out partying, wasting my time, drinking, not paying attention, because I thought I was an exception to the rule. I thought for sure my good's gonna come. I'm a good person, I tithe, I pray, I'm good to people, like surely it's gonna come. That's not how this universe works. It's an output input. Whatever we put out, we get back. It's our energy that attracts it, which is a whole nother topic that we study regularly. So action, I find it when it comes to, like I say, therapy clients or coaching clients, we are so highly undereducated and underestimate the power of the subconscious mind, what it truly takes. But once we figure that out, it's like The Secret. It truly is the missing secret, as Dr. Joe says. We unlock everything. We truly unlock everything on every level. So I want to keep this going. The next section that I want to share with you, if you have not visited our website before, this is the Napoleon Hill website, napoleonhillinstitute.com. This is what it looks like. This is the members area that I click into to get all my programs. Right now, I think this is the Twilight Club, our new offer. And it really just speaks to kind of the people we attract. Sometimes we feel that lack of direction or purpose. We have those financial struggles. We're not satisfied in our career. We have ineffective personal habits. That's to say it lightly. Usually I say I'm a big hot mess. I can't get my poop together. We have a lack of confidence. That's what everybody was saying in the chat. And we feel disconnected. We have spiritual disconnection. Does that resonate with anybody? So, you know, that's kind of what we attract here. Let me see if I can hop over to now my back office. So this is what it looks like behind the scenes. And this was our last week's schedule. Every week we show you what's upcoming. We have our 5:30 a.m. classes, all kinds of juicy stuff. And all the programs are here. I have every one because I'm obsessed. This is what we just watched. This is another one. So this is from another call that they called The Voices. Ooh, Dr. Joe and Joseph Rodriguez was on this call. So is Cleona. Let's listen a little bit. And one of our amazing members and coaches, Kevin Fernandez, asked a beautiful question. So let's go ahead and watch this.
The flow, inflow. Okay. I love it. I can't wait to watch this over and over again and dissect it. So, okay. First hand I saw up was Kevin Fernandez. Come on up, Kevin. Hi, my friend.
Hey, Cleona. Hey, Dr. Joe. How are y'all doing?
Doing great. Look where we are.
Great. Thank you so much for today's lesson. Real quick, my question is, going back to whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve. I feel like so many people talk about it, and it's sometimes easy to just pass by it and not really think deeper than that. And my question, as a coach is, you can have two clients, two people that are coming from the same background, from the same circumstances, and working in the same industry, but if their belief is different, then the results are gonna be different, right? And so, how would you balance the idea of you have to think as big as possible with the idea of you have to believe that it's possible for you?
Well, I tell people that what they want to do is stretch their comfort zone. Your comfort zone and my comfort zone are probably completely different. And recently I interviewed James Lawrence, who's this guy who did 50 some Ironmans, 50 in a row in 50 different states. And when he was done, he went and did 100 more. And then on the morning of 101, he got up and did another one. It's like, I can't even comprehend doing that. That was for him to do because it stretched his comfort zone. It's beyond, it breaks my imagination even to go there because I don't want to do it and that's not what I'm going to do. So what I encourage people to do is to write down what their goal is, whatever it is unique to them. And then I tease them a little bit by saying what would be bigger, what would be better, what would be bolder, what would be more bodacious. And I'm asking them to reflect for them. If I sat there and said they wanted, I don't know, if they wanted to run a 5K of some sort, I could up it a little bit, but I don't know what's appropriate for them. I want them to stretch. So whoever it is with whatever background they have to look into their own life and say, here's what I want. And then I, as a coach, would say, what would be better than what you want? Yeah. Putting it again in their lap to get them to stretch.
Maybe you have reflected, clearly you're here. What do you want? We asked that at the beginning of the call. Now, what would be more bigger, more bodacious, as Dr. Joe says? What would be so astronomical? Like, wow, okay, I want to do this, but if I could do this, like, what if you stretched it? What would that look like? For example, a few years ago, I wanted to travel and I said, oh my God, I don't have money to travel, but I started imagining it. I wanted to go on a specific trip. Then I said, what would be even bigger? I'm going to go first class. Oh my God. Do you know how much those first class tickets are? They're 4 times the price, Carly. You're never. When I started getting emotionally involved in the bigger, better, grander dream, not only was I going to go on the trip, but I'm going to go on the trip first class. It brought a whole new energy because we are not taught to think like this. We are taught to think in very limited lack belief. And it's not bad, like I said. I mean, it doesn't get good results, that's for sure. But we're not here to blame, shame, or condemn anyone, ourselves, or the people who raised us. But we have an option to choose how we're going to live. Are we going to live in an abundance mentality and energy and vibration? Or lack and poverty, period? Whether it's financial, health-wise, relationship-wise, career, purpose. Are you rich in purpose and fulfillment? These are the questions. I found myself afraid to ask myself questions because I didn't want to hear the answer. And I didn't want to do the work. I was afraid. Most of it was unconscious. And I would fight and I would talk to my coaches and I would say, I know. And one of my coaches one day said, Carly, you don't know. Because if you did, you would have different results. And I said, wow, you're right. So this work, true spiritual and personal development, takes humility. Understanding that how we've been doing things, more importantly, how we've been thinking, gets us all of the results in life. And if we do not have the results that we want, clearly something needs to change. And it's okay to ask for help. And it's okay to, hold yourself accountable, put yourself on the hook. Because if you never do, nothing will change because it will be the same. You might get a momentary shot of inspiration and woo, right? We get a good podcast or YouTube video or a free online event. And then what happens? That was me. But I decided, I made a decision. And that's kind of where I want to share when I mentioned I want to share something that really, really changed my life. It's what Napoleon Hill talks about in the chapter of decision, where really he opens up in the chapter of faith, burning the boats. We hear a lot about that. Burn the boats, burn the ships. What ships do you need to burn in your life? We talked a little bit about what you want, where you're at. We're all cut of the same cloth. If you're here on a Saturday listening to this, you're a leader. You go the extra mile. A lot of people are out brunching and hanging out and drinking and doing all, who knows what, Netflix, binging, but you're here on this call. You're a leader and you want something more. But I find usually there's one thing holding us back. It's that 1 degree. It's just one little degree. My 1 degree was alcohol. It's not that for everybody, but for me, I had to admit that it was for me. It was the way I hid. It was the way I avoided. It was the way I numbed. It was the way I celebrated. It was the way I coped. That was my 1 degree. It was keeping me from my greatness. It was keeping me from my connection to my highest self. And that's another big theme that we study here. Do you want to meet your other self? Do you want to meet that version of you that you see in your mind that is living the life? And again, it's not about riches and great. It could be. That's beautiful. And I don't feel guilty about that at all. I used to have a lot of guilt and shame around wanting nice things. But I realize it's just a reflection of the beauty and the opulence of this world because everything's energy. It's just good energy. So what is your 1 degree? What is the one thing if you stop doing? It could be a physical habit. It could be a mental habit. It could be a thought. It could be a limiting belief. If you stop doing one thing, how would it change your life? Or if you started to do one thing, what's one thing you could decide to do? Take the leap. I have this, one of my, oh, it just fell on the ground. Okay, great. It's called leap and the net will appear. I used to hate that phrase. I used to say, oh my gosh, only irresponsible ding-dongs leap and believe there's a net, silly, irresponsible kids, because I didn't have faith. I didn't believe. I would dream so big, and I had to realize I was just playing myself. I wasn't taking leaps. I wasn't taking the action that was going to change anything. And it was scary, but I couldn't afford any more. I truly felt, like I said, for me, it's a matter of life and death. And it's not just physical life and death. In my case, it actually was, but spiritual life and death. Are you alive? Are you doing what fulfills you? What's going to get you there? It's things like this that are that wake-up call. You don't have to wait until you hit rock bottom. You don't have to wait to change and get better. You can just get better. I always say you don't have to be sick to get better. You can just get better. The better it gets, the better it gets. As Emil Coué said, and they use that quote there, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. The better it gets, the better it gets. So for me, when Napoleon Hill talks about stepping in, taking the action, burning the boats, leaving no option for retreat, that's how I got over my 1 degree when it was with alcohol. I just heard this voice one day after a lot of prayer and meditation and pain and crying and, oh my God, I'm not, da-da-da-da. It's like, girl, stop drinking. I was like, really? Could it be that? No. It was my only kind of vice. It was my way of controlling. So I decided just for a year, it was my birthday coming up, and I decided for 1 year, I won't drink. I burned all the boats. I got rid of everything. There was no hidden little shot bottle somewhere, or wine hidden in the cabinet for a rainy day, dusty bottle. No, I got rid of everything. I burned the boats. Some people use food. What is your 1 degree? Some people gossip. Is your 1 degree complaining? Is your 1 degree fighting with people online? Is your 1 degree hating people for their beliefs because they don't believe like you, and anybody that doesn't believe like you is surely a big, silly person? Are we judging other people? That could be our 1 degree. Because remember, our thoughts create our vibration, and our vibration is our attraction point. So although in your mind you might be right, and by the way, you are right, because whatever you believe is right for you, but it doesn't mean it's right for everybody else. When you are living in your truth, when you cut out anything that does not serve you and is blocking your energetic field, that's when everything comes. We are electromagnetic beings. Our thoughts are electric, and they're sent out. They're sent down as well, and they create this strong emotion, and our emotions are magnetic. So we are electromagnetic beings. We think and then we attract. So what are you putting out? And a lot of times we don't think we're putting anything out because they're just in our minds. It's innocent. I'm just like, doing the dishes, arguing with somebody in my head in case potentially they start challenging me on something. It's like, what do we have in our mind? Let's be very vigilant, very, very vigilant. So what is your 1 degree? If you stopped doing something, or if you started doing something, how would that change your life? I love how Napoleon Hill talks about it here. I'm going to pull this up. This is another thing that we study in the daily study program. So we also have Study and Grow Rich. It's a daily program that we have Monday through Friday. Like I said, I'm not joking when I say we have calls every single day. It's impossible for you to drift. When you're in a community like this is the one decision that I made. I had to make a decision to invest in myself because I wasn't, and nothing was changing. If all the YouTube, was free, everybody would be changing. But it's when you really trust and invest and have faith in yourself. A lot of times I talk with people who, they have big dreams, and they have I want to earn 100K a year. It doesn't matter, 300K a year. It was actually one of my therapy colleagues. I did this program. It was like $300 a while ago. And this person said, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, that's too much. Maybe next time. And I was like, oh no, it's not $3,000. It's $300. She goes, oh no, I know. I can't. I said, what? I said, no judgment, but I thought, here's the same person that just encouraged me to buy a $1,000 bag. And I thought, wow, priorities. I thought, clearly this person doesn't see the value. That was me. I would go and spend the money on the bars and the trips and the Uber rides and all this kind of stuff. But when somebody said, oh, take this course, it'll change your life, it's this, I was like, oh, no way. But it wasn't until I realized what was really going on. I said, oh my God, I'm in a racket. I am in a racket of my own making. And that's when you feel kind of like you're in this Groundhog's Day. Surely it'll change next year. Next summer, I'll have my dream body. Here comes next summer. You're still embarrassed to go out. Surely next Christmas, I'm going to have money to take my family somewhere. Here comes next Christmas. You might be worse off. Nothing changes if nothing changes. It's all about our thoughts and our energy and what keeps us accountable. But here, what I have pulled up is chapter 1 called Energy. This is from the Outwitting the Devil Active Journal, like the live workbook. This is pretty deep. This is the kind of material that we study in the Twilight Club. So it's a more conscious, expanding study that we look into really the ground of the way we think. We knock out everything that we thought was true and we start expanding our consciousness to something new. So again, we have many different programs and they all have different levels. Like we offer something for everybody no matter where you're at in the journey. But this right here, Napoleon Hill talks about energy. So it says life consists of great swarms of energy or entities, each as intelligent as human beings believe themselves to be. These units of life group themselves together like hives of bees and remain together until they disintegrate through lack of harmony. So really what this is, they are just energetic waves that are surrounding us all the time and we feel them. What energy are we surrounding ourselves with? What energy are we bathing ourselves in? Have you ever felt like there were warring impulses at work within your mind? Or have you ever been moving full steam toward your goals only to suddenly and inexplicably feel compelled to switch directions and veer off course? Such sensations occur because we have within ourselves both positive and negative forces vying for dominance. These opposing forces exist within units of energy, like positive and negative charges in an atom, and they band together and exert influence over our thoughts and actions. Because these forces determine our experience, it is crucial that we understand how they function and how we can manage and develop them to our advantage. Your own thoughts and desires serve as the magnet which attracts units of life from the great ocean of life. Only the friendly units which harmonize with the nature of your desires are attracted. This quote right here is a whole class. We sit just dissecting this. If you can learn how to manage and develop your own energy, your own vibration, your own frequency to your own advantage, how would your life change? This is the type of stuff that we do behind the scenes in all of the classes. I just showed you a couple different examples. That was from our Tuesday call, our mentorship program. Like I said, we have that Twilight Club, the daily study call. A lot of you are already getting amazing results in the self-discipline camp. A lot of you have seen our offer for the 7 secret laws of the universe revealed, the 7 secret laws. So the replays came down. A lot of you really love that. But if you wanted lifetime access to those replays, we're offering it for just $97. But we are going to add a bonus program. So it is our Prosperity Summit that we did. It is so powerful. So we are going to add that bonus to the 7 secret laws if you're interested in that. I'm going to put the link here. Yes, let me go ahead and find it. And as you check out, you're only going to see the checkout for the 7 secret laws, but you're going to get the bonus for the Prosperity Summit. So click on that and it'll take you to this special page of the different offerings that we have. I spoke about a few today, but just think about it. Most of you are already within the Napoleon Hill Institute, but some of you aren't. Some of you have a lot of questions. Some of you don't know if it's right for you, and I'm here to answer all those questions. Feel free, put your hands up, put questions in the chat. I think we have a Q&A section here as well. Raise your hand, don't be shy. I don't care if it's anything about what we spoke about today, about your own goals. I really, really want to hear. Yeah, Lisa, the Prosperity Summit has a group of amazing speakers. Yeah, very famous speakers, actually. You know what, let me click on this link. Yeah, it has all of the programs and the offerings that we do now, and it has that special bonus. So I invite you, anybody, I'm going to get into gallery mode here. I know a lot of us have our cameras off. If you can put your camera on, that would be beautiful. Carla's amazing. Oh, thanks, Chris. All right. Come on up, Jen. Let me ask you to unmute.
Thank you, Carla. This has been amazing.
You're welcome.
So I just wanted to kind of reiterate what I had put in the chat, something that I've been working on, and I really have been working on myself specifically since 2020. But something that I definitely struggle with is just being heard. Maybe it's just something small. For example, I wrote down not speaking up. And that's something that just even happened this morning. Just something so small. I didn't speak up. And then I kind of, am hard on myself. And I'm like, why didn't I speak up? It was so small. But if you have anything or any advice that you can speak on that, that would be really great and helpful.
Oh my goodness. So advice meaning like something that you can do to, you know what, I would say affirmation, auto-suggestion. That's one of the things, Jen. And you know that. It's like when we, so Jen, just thank you for sharing that, by the way. Thank you for sharing that and being so vulnerable and open. When you're struggling with something, whether it be a limiting belief or something that you just keep getting results and patterns in the way that you're like, come on, I'm trying to do my best here. Like Jen, I have a problem speaking up, or like it's so small, like why couldn't I just do it? So for example, let's see, we call these paradigms, these fixed set of beliefs that are mostly unconscious, but it's not until it hits us that we're like, oh gosh, I hate when this happens. So one belief, so for you it was, why don't I just speak up? For me, it's like, why can't I just be on time? I'm always late. I'm always late for everything. It was a feeling of disempowerment, of embarrassment. Why can't I be on time? I'm never on time. I'm always late. I'm always late. That was the thought. And for Jen, she's like, nobody ever hears me. I'm unheard. I feel unheard. I feel unseen. Why can't I just speak up? Maybe consciously she's not saying that in her head, but it's a feeling like, ugh. And then when she taps into the feeling, it's like, gosh, I don't feel heard. Usually it's the thought that gets, the feeling that gets us first. And then we reflect, well, what am I thinking that makes me feel like this? It's always the thought first. Always the thought first. We feel nothing unless we have a thought about it. And usually it's like, no, Carla, I'm fine. I feel so anxious. Oh my God. Well, what's wrong? Nothing. I swear everything's good. When you dive deeper, it's mostly unconscious. And that's what Napoleon Hill talks about. When we can tap in, and Carl Jung, when we can tap in and make the unconscious conscious, if we don't do that, we will remain a victim and lost in our whole life. Back to Jen's example. She has a feeling and then she reflected, oh, I don't feel heard. For me, I had a feeling and I reflected, God, I'm always late. I'm so stupid. That was really the thought. I'm so stupid. I'm incompetent. What's wrong with me? So how you would go about doing this, back to kind of a very practical practice, is write it down, Jen. I'm unheard. Nobody hears me. What's the polar opposite? So I'll ask you to unmute again. What's the polar, how would you rather feel?
Heard, and I would rather feel being able to speak up, even if it's just something super small. Like for example, this morning I was at Starbucks and I ordered a drink, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to pay for the people behind me. And I did. It was like $17, not a big deal. When they handed me my coffee, it was the wrong coffee. And I was like, you know what, it's okay. I'll drink it anyway. And then when I pulled through, because I was in the drive-through, I pulled out, I realized it's not even the kind of coffee I wanted. But why couldn't I for a second? And I drank it anyway, but it's like, you know, in that moment, I gave myself a really hard time. Like, why couldn't I have just said, hey, I did order an iced coffee, not a hot coffee, like
Yeah.
something small.
Wow, that's a common thing. I experience that a lot with people. It's people pleasing. It's we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to inconvenience people. We don't want to be a burden. We want to just sit back and like, well, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be seen as, difficult or like a diva or bother them. So what we're doing is we're sacrificing just a basic need. Not just a basic need. I paid for this coffee. They would be more than happy to replace it. So why couldn't I just say something? I'm with you. I deal with a lot of clients that do that. And it's women. A lot of it is a lot of women, not to be, sexist or anything, but I find that it's just this programming that's deep within us. We don't want to inconvenience and bother anybody. We would rather suffer than inconvenience someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's uncomfortable to speak up for ourselves.
It is.
Thank you for your vulnerability. So something for you is, first, it's I'm unheard and I can't speak up. So if you can write, I am always heard and I speak up with confidence and ease. I am always heard. I always feel heard, understood, seen, and I speak up with confidence and ease. Right? It's like that right there is a different vibration. I think you can all feel it. I am always heard. I am always listened to. I'm always seen. I'm always understood. And look, I'm rocking. I'm like, oh, this feels so good. That's how I do my own affirmations. Like you drop it in your body. So I would say take the thought. First, it's a feeling. What's the thought behind it? Just be ugly, be raw with it, be honest with yourself, because we can't get past it if we don't look at it and admit it. But that's not where we dwell, right? You identify it and reframe it. Name it and reframe it, I always say. So for you, Jen, I would say name it and reframe it. We named it. I feel unheard. I can't speak up. Reframe it. I'm always heard and I speak up with ease. Something, have fun with it, right? Put emotion into it. This is another last thing. So I talked a lot about, I like somatic body. This is a way you can tap in your positive affirmations. EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. I do this in my therapy practice and in my daily life. This is a little tip and trick. I'm actually going to drop here in the chat our special Napoleon Hill emotional freedom technique tapping PDF for all of you to have. This is so beautiful. We had this live in New York. We had a live event. Oh, and by the way, we have the silent retreat coming up in October. It's $500. If you want to do VIP, it's $800. So when I say there's something for everybody, there's something for everybody. There's something for everybody. That's a live event. We're all going to be together in a silent retreat. But we had a live event in New York. I did a tapping. We had a monk there teaching us walking meditations. It was so powerful. Our live events are so amazing. So not to get off topic, but tapping. When we have a negative feeling, a negative belief, a story we keep telling ourselves over and over that's disempowering, name it and reframe it. Then to take it a step further, get it down on paper. Memorize it. Then start tapping what they call these acupressure points. So a lot of you have seen acupuncture, right? Those little needles, ancient Chinese medicine to kind of free up the energy centers in our body, the chi, all of that good stuff. But for us, we can tap on what they call acupressure points, a little more generalized points. So there's the fleshy part, the side of the hand, just gently tap either side, the inside of the eyebrows. I know it can look silly if you've never seen this, but you get used to it real quick because it works and it's a miracle. So outside of the eyes, underneath the eyes, just gently tap here. I like to use the side. Don't want to ruin my lipstick. Underneath the chin here. Whew, and just breathe. All 10 fingers on the chest. I'm running through this very quickly. There's actually on Napoleon Hill Institute's YouTube channel, I do a whole grounding exercise with you if you're interested in that. Check that out. Then under the arm, it's right here where the bra line is for most women, just right there. And the last part is right on the top of the head, tapping here. So usually it's much slower than that. I was just sharing with you the acupressure points. You don't have to use all of them or do it in any specific order. Usually I just do this and I just breathe. Or when I'm driving, I think Kaya, I see you in the car. Sometimes when I'm driving, yeah, there you are. I just tap here or I just tap here. If you see me in your review mirror on the 405 freeway in LA, I'm just tapping away, tapping my anxiety down. Whew. And you repeat it, Jen. So you would say, God, I am always heard. I am always understood. And I speak up with ease. I am always heard. I am always understood. And I speak up with ease. And remember to breathe. This is a very grounding, body-based technique that we can use the auto-suggestion, as Napoleon Hill says, or affirmations, with this technique. So that's another thing that I'm really honored to be a part of the Napoleon Hill Institute, because it's a mold. It's the first time I've ever seen any company do this. So what we're doing is we're taking this action, this goal-oriented mindset, and we're also infusing the surrender, the embodied, the very feminine type of energy mixed with the masculine action taking, but also the feminine surrender, and really reprogramming our physical body as well as the mind. So I hope that was helpful, Jen. Yeah? Okay. Yeah? Beautiful. Did you want to, I'll ask you to unmute. Did you want to share anything else?
No, that was great. Thank you so much. Everything has been very helpful. And I wrote down, and I love that affirmation. I'm always heard and I speak up with these. So I'm going to try that with the tapping as well, because I learned that from you.
Thank you. Oh, awesome. Well, more to come for that. You'll actually see, I live on affirmations, auto suggestions. When I couldn't find my window to bring up, I said, everything always works out for me. I always say that everything always works out for me in the most miraculous ways. God goes before me, making my way sure. Isn't it wonderful? I walk through my house, I brush my teeth. Everything always works out for me in the most miraculous ways. Oh my goodness, if something doesn't go my way, like I have a suitcase coming because we're going on that Napoleon Hill tour. If any of you are in the Ireland area or in the Denmark area, we are going to be live for a one-day powerful event. And I had ordered a suitcase to come, and it was supposed to be delivered yesterday. And I got a message, a lovely message that said, schedule a delivery reroute, because I think it's coming from Florida, and I know there's some storms over there. And they said it's not going to be here until Monday, and I leave on Tuesday. And I was hoping to be packed by Sunday, because I have a busy schedule on Monday. So I said, this is good. Everything works out for me. So what did I do? I said, you know what? Everything always works out for me. I texted my sister. I said, hey, can I borrow one of your luggages? One of mine can't come. I'm going to pack it just in case to have it ready. But in my mind, I already see it arriving on Monday. If it doesn't, I'm fine. I don't even care. I remain unmoved, because it's stuff like that that can get us. It's those little insidious bothers. And it's tools like this that we learn how to get us through life. Yeah. So I love that. All right. Anybody else? Sandra.
Hi,
Hi.
can you hear me?
I can, yes, perfectly.
Okay, I have this issue is I never feel good enough. I have a lot of knowledge. I am life coach, okay? But when it comes to put a price in my work, I couldn't. I
Yeah.
could, yeah. And this is because I think we all have our, the divinity give us, how can I say, a gift. And with our gift, we can put it for someone, and we deserve the prosperity and abundance. I know that, but my mind don't know.
Yeah. You
This is
know
why
that, but you don't
that's
know
why
that.
I'm here. I'm here to listen something who give me this courage to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think every coach on here, like I said, we attract leaders. So there's a lot of coaches here, whether they be coaches with us or coaches anywhere else, as also students. I always consider myself a student first. I'm a coach too. But we attract a lot of
I'm a
leaders. So
student.
thank you for sharing that, Sandra. So what's happening, this is what I like to describe. So if you've seen the mind model, are you familiar with this, Sandra?
Yes,
Okay.
with Bob Proctor.
Yep. And by the way, a lot of us,
Yeah.
Bob Proctor was our mentor. He was definitely mine until he passed. Every single thing he taught was based on Napoleon Hill's teachings. He carried that book with him till the day he passed. And that's why we are kind of carrying the torch here. We're going back to the source, but yeah, that's a little nod to Bob. So this is from Dr. Thurman Fleet's mind model that Bob used to refer to a lot. And this is the stick person. This represents our conscious thinking mind, our subconscious mind, our body, and our outside results. What you are saying, Sandra, is I know that my work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation. That's an affirmation that I like to use. My work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation. I was given the gift to share it, and I am worthy of compensation in all ways, including ways to take care of my business and life so I can continue to share my gifts. So you know it here in the conscious thinking mind, but you want to get it here so that it's in your body and then you see it in your results. But that's not what's happening.
No.
This is what's happening. You know it in your mind, but down here is the opposite, or not something. You're incongruent. They call this cognitive dissonance in psychology. You're not resonant. It's not resonating. It's not in alignment. It's not in perfect alignment. It's in disalignment. You are in a state of dissonance. You think one way, you feel another way, which causes chaos, and then you get results that you don't want. So how can you bridge the gap? How can you make it click? You have to get emotionally involved. You have to truly believe it, just like Jen said. So we think we have many problems, but it's only one. It's our lack of worthiness, right?
Yes.
So for you, I would say, how does it feel? How does it feel to have that thought? Like, oh, I don't want to charge people. How does it feel?
I feel sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why do
In
you
the
feel?
beginning, in the beginning it was like a rage, but now I feel really sad because I know it's my fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's my fault. And everyone who's come to me validate my thought. I'm attracting the people who validate my thought, and they think, okay, I don't have money, or this is too,
Yeah,
validate
absolutely. Yep. It's just
yeah.
reflecting. Yep. It's just reflecting. So yes, we find ourselves in that, whether it be with money, with love, with health, right? Like, I'm not worthy. I can't find good men. I can't ever find good men, right? Or like whatever it is. So beautifully said. You change it. How do we get any belief? How do we get any belief down there? Well, how did these get down here in the first place? Through repetition. So again, what is a thought? And it doesn't have to be something so out there that you don't really feel it. What's true about you, Sandra? You said you're a good student. What's the truth about you?
I'm on a mission. This is my life mission to help people. But how can I help if I have this issue? You know, that this is what blocking me.
You can't, Sandra. The truth is you can't. And you won't. And you won't. Like a lot of, like 95% of people out there. The truth is you won't. So do you see how serious this is? You can't mess around with this. This is like,
Very
make a
serious.
decision. So as I asked earlier, this is a boat you need to burn. You are
Yeah.
burning the boat of this shenanigans because it's not who you are. It's a part of you. There's a part of Sandra that believes that she feels bad and guilty and she attracts this thing. Okay, fair enough. We're not going to beat ourselves up because why, Sandra? Were you raised by Tony Robbins? No, I'm sure you were raised by people who had lack mentality or like you should sacrifice and you should be, you know, poverty is virtuous. That's how we're programmed. We love them. God bless them. Thank you. Ho'oponopono. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. All that. Now make a decision today that when those voices come up, you thank them. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Because what you're really doing, those are voices of your ancestors. Those are voices of everybody that raised you. And you're the one that can heal. You're the one, like it said in the quote, you can achieve it. Not you will, you can, but it's going to take action. So I feel you so much, and I think everybody else does. You make a decision right now that you're going to burn that boat because that boat keeps sailing around your harbor and keeping you in lack. The truth about you is, I have a big purpose. I am gifted and I teach, and I am divinely compensated in an abundant overflow. My work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation over and over and over. Even though, do this with me.
Even though I do this with Joe Vitale.
Yep. Even
Even
though
though I think I'm not worthy,
the truth is,
I truly love myself, and I'm sorry.
and what's the truth?
What's the truth about me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You already said it. You have a gift.
Oh, I have this gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about a feeling, you know,
Yeah.
what's
No,
true
no,
about
it's,
my feeling.
remember, the feeling comes after the thought. We're talking
Yes.
about thoughts. So even though
Even though
I think I'm unworthy
I think I'm unworthy,
to get paid for my gift,
paid for my gift.
the truth is,
The truth is, I'm on the mission. This is my life mission, and I deserve it.
yes,
I
you,
deserve it.
you do that over and over and over and over. Set your timer for 5 minutes and just do that over and over and just let it come up. Let those uncomfortable feelings come up. Even though I feel so unworthy, I feel guilty for accepting money. Oh, I don't want to ask people for money. The truth is, I'm a student. I invest in myself. I have so much to
Yes.
give. I have so much to give. God gave me a talent. For me to believe this is believing in the darkness. It's actually blasphemous for me not to be compensated. God wants to provide for me, and I'm actually breaking the law by not taking money. Wow. Even though I feel guilty, the truth is, there's nothing to feel guilty for. This is a God-given gift, and I'm actually slapping God in the face by not being compensated. Wow. And you just keep letting it come through. Do you understand that? I know you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
So that's all there is. Like, end of story, period. You need to burn that boat. I want you to, if you're not in the Facebook group, get in the Facebook group, but I want you to put in there in a week how you feel. I want you to do this every single day. Please do this every single day. You can't afford to. Your gifts will never be heard, Sandra, if you don't get serious about this. Burn the boats. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. Catherine, we'll take you, and then I think that's it. We'll wrap up.
Hello, I'm getting ready to pull over here, so I'm not driving and talking
time.
deep philosophical. All right, here we go. Let me pull over. So I have a couple of things to say before I lead into my thing. For one, Carla, met you at the Joseph Rodriguez
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Flow Mastermind.
Yes.
Yeah, so I met you there and loved you there. Love you here. I think Jen also, if I'm not mistaken, I think she may be there as well. And then Sandra that just talked. Okay, so when you, I've thought about this a number of times, and I'm like, Joseph has almost 500,000 followers, but that flow-based mastermind thing has like not even 50 people, right? I know, and it's affordable, and
Yes.
it's right. And I've thought about that. I'm like, why? And it isn't Joseph, because Joseph is magical. I think they're probably going to write books about him someday and reference him someday, like they do, Bob and Napoleon. So, but anyways, I feel like when you say that those of us who are here are not here on accident, I mean, we are kind of in the same orbit, even, you and I. And so there's that. And then Jen and then Sandra, this is something that's been coming up to me for the last week or two. And I find myself saying to people, and I mean this, it's not like I'm just saying it like, I don't know, like an after school special has a message, right? If only you could see yourself like I see you. Like, I see you as great, incredible, smart, intelligent, brave, courageous, light awareness, like love, peace, happiness, bliss, fulfillment, all of that stuff. So I wish you could, and I think that might be something to be said, would be like, try to look at yourself with the same lens, kindness, and understanding and love as you would look at someone else. Because I think the lens that we use for ourselves is pretty harsh. So then for myself personally, why am I here? Asking a question. For me, I'm at this place where I feel like all information, meditations, people I'm meeting, information I'm being, presented with and stumbling upon or seeking for and finding are all leading to this same funnel, like this same funnel, that this group is in and Joseph's group is in. And it almost seems like the funnel's getting a little more finer and finer, the whole, I don't know. But I'm at this point where I'm like, when you say make a decision, it's like the decision is like, I'm almost afraid. And what does that mean? It means that I would have to take, for one, a really long, hard look at myself. And if we say our thoughts create, and I have been looking, at myself quite a bit, into my environment, and then being like, okay, what is that reflecting back to me? What is that? Optimization data, as Joseph would say. And using that as optimization data and being like, all right, what thoughts did that? No shame and condemnation if, I do run into anything. But as I look into this, I'm like, it is so big. Like if it is what we're saying it is, and it is, then the total operating system that I've been operating on needs to be flipped. And I find that to be very massively scary in some way, and almost afraid to have that much liberty. And almost like Dorothy at the end of the movie of The Wizard of Oz. And she's like, you mean I had the power to go home all along?
Yes.
Why didn't you tell me? And you wouldn't have believed me.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's where I'm at. I'm almost afraid to have that much liberty. I'm finding myself being ready to, when one person steals themselves to make a decision, or make a choice, or burn the friggin' boats, because you have to steel yourself for that, like,
Yes.
like when you jump in the pool, you're midair, there's no going back. Right?
Catherine, this is so beautiful. First, I want to just thank you, and I always remember your light. You're such a high vibratory person. I'm so grateful you're here. I just love you.
Yay.
So listen, you said you're afraid
Yes.
of the liberty.
Yeah.
Who would
Yeah.
you be?
And
okay, who would you be? And how would life be and who can you help if you had that liberty?
Well, that's the other part of it. Apparently, I'd be helping a lot of people just from being me. Wouldn't even have to really do
So what's
anything
holding
but
you back?
be me.
So what's holding you back?
With great power comes great responsibility. I got all these crazy quotes, but that it's that I'm as big as I think I am, or I'm being led to believe that I am, that I am, that I'm in charge of it all. And that it's all me. It's all me.
Oh, that you're like
That
responsible, that it would be a heavy crown to wear. Listen, this is with the truth. You are the vessel.
yeah,
You're the vessel.
yeah.
You are the lamp.
Mhm.
You're not the light. You're the faucet. You're not the water. And so when you can surrender this fear of having to be the water and the faucet and the lamp and the light and everything, that's when you will be free. But that won't happen unless you make a decision. So you're the lamp. You're
It's
not
very,
the light. You're the lamp. You're not the light.
I'm gonna try that on for size.
Right. And that takes humility. Of course, we're all light, but I'm metaphorically speaking is that we're not responsible. And when we do, that's when we burn out and when we get afraid and we can't handle it, our circuits bust because we're trying to do it all. And that is very an
Well,
insidious, unconscious way that our ego can take over and hold us back from our greatness.
yeah, I think it's like almost in that I guess you'd say connotation, or almost meaning like that, like whoa, like that. But it's also like how alone am I? Like
And that's a silly question. The fact that you said, how
yeah,
alone am I? No one's alone.
yeah, and that's where I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to understand the facets and the mirrors and the reflections and the understanding of all of that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So,
And thank you for sharing. But it sounds like a lot in your head, a lot in your mind.
yes,
And so
yeah.
yeah, dropping below the neck. I always like to say dropping below the neck. What do you want? Like, what do you want? Catherine, what do you want?
Well, today I was kind of thinking like I need to stop thinking.
Yeah.
Just free myself from the thoughts and just kind of relax and trust and know. I feel like there's this sense of being, because of the hardworking nature, I'd say probably of all of us, right? To be like, I've got to really, 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 and then if you're thinking about, you could skip a couple levels by just getting your thoughts in line.
Yeah,
right?
it's a whole different
And
way
your
of living.
trust and faith. Yeah, faith and trust. So I think that's where I'm going into, is my faith and my trust and relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And
what does that look like in
trusting.
action? What does that look like in action?
Less action, less worrying,
Okay.
less thinking.
Right. And
Yeah.
then in action,
Yeah.
right? Even though all the real true action happens within. So yeah, you're going to stop. But what does it look like for
Yeah.
you? I know I loved seeing you on those flow-based classes. I love seeing you here. Clearly you're a student. So is your next level diving more into your student and your studies and yourself, or is it starting to teach this material?
Both, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're always a student, right? You can't learn it all.
Exactly. And so you have,
yeah,
right when you
yeah.
got on this call, you were already coaching and teaching Jen and the other woman. So I don't know if
Yeah, I
you
can't
are a
help it.
coach, but this is something, and I know, Chris, you mentioned, I know you just joined us. You're very successful, multimillionaire over with sales and all that with the solar. And, one thing that we don't really promote, but we attract, we have an offer.
I'm a professor.
Yeah,
of nursing.
For you to be a coach at the Napoleon Hill Institute. So that's something else. So Chris, would you mind, I'm going to unmute you, coming up and just sharing, because I think this is something that we don't share enough, just kind of taking it to talk about bigger and more bodacious. Chris, you want to talk about that?
Sure. Just lead me into it, Carla. What would you like? I have so much. The reason I'm asking is I've been a member of NHI for almost 2 years. I've had the pleasure of knowing you, working with you, and I just want to speak for everyone, Carla. You put your heart and soul into this. It shows that you prepare. you are magnetic, you attract people, and you are super successful by serving first. That's the first thing, Catherine, that you said that really just resonated with me. When Carla put you to a decision, because that's what, not to quote Tony Robbins, but Tony Robbins says our whole life changes when we make a decision. Sometimes it's one decision. And if you look at the Latin root of the word, it's literally to cut off any other possibilities. The day you decide to do something and never look back, your life like takes a whole new, direction. So you decided to pull over. It meant so much for
Yeah.
you to speak today, right? And Carla
Yeah.
asked you for a decision. She said, what do you want? And then she asked you, is your next step, because remember what Dr. Vitale said, that word can, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can, but that Carla kind of dug into, it doesn't happen automatically or on autopilot. It only happens when we take action and we have a plan. So she was asking you, what action are you going to take? Are you going to be a bigger student, or are you going to be a teacher? And then you actually did something a lot of people don't do. You actually thought before you spoke. You actually considered, molded over in your head, and then you gave a phenomenal answer that I probably would have given. There really is no distinction between the second, because you know what Carla is doing right now? She's sharing and teaching. But I bet you if you ask Carla to put a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you'll see a thumbs up. Carla, were you learning from teaching today?
Oh my
right?
God, I do this selfishly. And as you're talking, Chris, sorry to interrupt, I love this. I have decide there. So this right here, Catherine, CID, to cut off and kill. There's something you need to cut off and kill, like pesticide, homicide,
Oh my God.
herbicide.
Cut and
You
kill.
need to
Genocide.
cut and kill, because look, as somebody in this circle, I'm you, we're all together, and new level, new devil, I call it. There is something that we need to cut off and kill, or nothing will change. So, you're such a good teacher. But really, I was laughing because, Chris, we always talk about how we talk about the amazing programs, but we attract leaders. So if you're already a coach, or you were interested in being a coach, or you love Napoleon Hill Institute, there's opportunity to start your own business here and just start going and start sharing. So you get out of your head, Catherine, and you start sharing this because you're a student, and you will just, unconsciously, selfishly keep all of this good information to yourself, and it'll have nowhere to go, and you just implode, and you're like hotboxing yourself in your own knowledge, when you can really, with all of that energy and enthusiasm you were given, because I remember those flow, you were the most enthusiastic person on that call. So how dare you keep that all to yourself?
Right. That's right, Carla. I was just going to piggyback what you said. Think of this, Catherine. You had the
Yes.
courage to be on camera, and I'm not knocking anyone else that's here that's not on camera, but how present are you if you don't want to turn on your camera? Cleona, our leader, talks about it when we do the self-discipline camp. And look, I get it. Sometimes I don't have the luxury. I may have to turn it off. But Catherine, kudos to you. You had your camera on. You had the courage to speak up in front of the group. And this is what I felt. Yes, you were talking about you, but something in me felt you wanted to share for the benefit of helping other members here. Am I right? You want to give a thumbs
Oh,
up on?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
you're a natural leader. You're a natural coach, because everyone thinks you have to be well spoken, or you have to be like so poised and good looking and this. And, we all have that imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be a coach? There really is. I mean, there's a whole training platform that Napoleon Hill will guide and put you through, so that you have that designation of being a certified NHI, Napoleon Hill Institute coach, and it comes with weight. But you have the natural gift, Catherine. You naturally want to help, serve, and share. And
Yeah.
so, I don't want to go on and on, Carla, but like,
No, you're good. Well,
You can't
thank you.
teach that.
Yes,
can't
God.
teach that.
Chris, it's so good. And so that's what I was going to say, is that, like, Catherine, for you, I would say, because I was that person, I studied and I studied and I studied, and I drove myself crazy. And the one thing that stopped it all was starting to teach it. And if I'm going to start to teach it, I might as well, just like the other Sandra said, get compensated so that I can teach it more, and so that I can study it more, and so that I can teach it more. One other thing, and I'll end it with this. So thank you, Chris. I just put you on the spot. But you said so beautifully, as an empowering person does and a teacher does, you said you're a professor. I wish that you could see me, Sandra, the other lady. I wish you could see me through my eyes, through God's eyes, whatever. This is the truth. We don't see with our eyes. We don't see with our eyes. We see with our mind. And it's our mind and our thoughts that will dictate everything in our life. So when we don't see our greatness, when those women or all of us feel unworthy because we're not seeing the truth, because we truly see with our mind, our eyeballs just take in the reflection of what we're really seeing with our mind. So I would encourage you, I know that was, we all went off on tangents, but like, I'm so glad that Chris brought that up, and I was inspired to bring that up for you because I know what kind of student you are, and I know what kind of knowledge you have, and I know how much you contribute. So I would encourage you to not just stop thinking, because none of us can stop thinking. So I would say right there, you're already screwing yourself. I want to make a decision, either dive deeper or start sharing. That'll get you out of your head. It'll embody it and start taking some of that steam that feels pent up within you, and you would be helping people, because I think you were given a gift of a very positive mental attitude, enthusiasm, energy, excitement, encouragement. You do see people, and that's what a coach really is, seeing something more in the person than they see in themselves. And we all need that, whatever level it is. So don't keep that gift to yourself.
Thank you. You've definitely got me thinking, because like when I went to be a nursing professor, of course I had studied the stuff to be a nurse, but then I had to study it again. There's something to be said about having to present material. And when you have to present material and teach material, then you have to learn it in such a way that you learn it in a different way. And so one of my favorite sayings is, when one teaches, to learn. And so I definitely, as I became, an instructor and then a professor, each time I taught it, I learned more and more and more. So I'm definitely going to take everything that you said into consideration. So
thank you. Thank you. Reach out. You know where to find me. I'll put my link to Chris. You too. Put your link so that, Catherine, if you have any questions, just let us know. But thank you for your vulnerability. I appreciate it.
I just wanted to say, Carla, earlier today, I put my email and phone number because someone asked you a question. And I told that person, Carla, that if they connect with me, I will certainly put them in contact with you.
Oh, yeah,
that
please.
goal is to support and help. Carla talks about a wonderful platform of information, tools, visuals, everything and anything. Like, she put a PDF in there about the tapping. She is skimming the surface. There is a plethora. If you are hungry to learn, this has more than you can ever dream. But what I really just want to end on is the love and the support from the very top of Cleona trickles all the way down. And if you don't feel that with Carla, you have people that actually support you. It's not like you just jump in and you're on an island all by yourself. You have so many coaches, so many leaders side by side, and so much support to help us all as a group lift each other up together. So thank you, Carla.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I want to end on that, really inviting you. I love teaching, and I forget, like, oh yeah, if you get excited about this, if you want to join us, like, there's so many ways. That link that I put, and I'll put it on the replay if you're watching the replay, of many ways you can join us, whether it be in person for our live event in October for that silent retreat. I believe it's $500 or $800 live. I mean, you guys, this is unheard of. Then there's, items from less than $100 all the way up. So we meet you where you're at. But one important thing is, like I said, we attract leaders. We attract leaders. And if you love Napoleon Hill, you love personal development, and you're already coaching everyone in your life, and they're like, oh God, if you tell me one more thing. If you love reading, if you love studying, if you're a true student and you want to join us, be on the team, have that support. You can have, it's called a certified global business with the Napoleon Hill Institute. I joined it. A lot of other people here have as well. You can make this your own, and you can have the support. So if you've ever wanted to coach, if you're already a coach and you kind of just want this community and this support, message me, or just stay on the call. When we end, stay on the call. I want to talk to you. If you've ever wanted to coach, if you've ever wanted to teach this material, this is the place to be. There's no other personal development company on this planet right now that does what we do, that has live calls and support, accountability, sessions every single day except Sunday. But you can have your mastermind on Sunday if you want, right? Like, seriously, this is a way of life. And as I opened it with the call, and I'll end with this, this is not a suggestion. This is a non-negotiable. If you truly want to take control of your life and you want to feel alive, make a decision to take it a step further. And I think Catherine even mentioned, we were a part of this class and there was a few handful of people on it. Only 5%. That's being generous. Make that next step. What's the difference between those that succeed? Oh, there's just a few, 2% of the rich. It's like they do things in a certain way. Let that be you. Let that be you. And yes, it's scary, but what's on the other side of fear? Everything you want. And if you have people to support you doing that, forget about it. Your success is guaranteed. And I say this too, and I know Chris does with his clients. It's like a money back guarantee. If you do this for 90 days, I don't care if it's any program we do or signing up for the coaching, if you do not have your entire life flipped upside down, I will fully refund your money myself out of my own bank account. I stand by that guarantee. I don't think anybody else would say that. So again, thank you for your time. And thank you, Chris, for reminding me of this. I always forget to kind of let people know how you can join us. This was an open house and I showed you behind the scenes and I show you what we do on a daily basis. But I also want to invite you and offer that invitation to come and join us. Look over those 6 different offers. What's right for you? And the bonus that's just for today, well, just for us group, we're going to have the special link for us for that bundle for the 7 Secret Laws and then the Prosperity Summit. But those are just video courses, right? It's less than $100. But do you want support one-on-one? Do you want me? Do you want Cleona? Do you want Dr. Joe, Chris, all of these, Jen, all of these amazing people in community? You can unlock that abundance. Be a deeper student, take it seriously, invest in yourself, or become a teacher and start helping. The world needs it. For so long, I sat on my talents, my gifts, just like you, Sandra. And somebody slapped me in my face one day and said, you know what? Not really slapped me in my face, but like, Carla, you're just afraid. You're just selfish. You're selfish. You're making it all about you. You think it's about Carla, and Carla, and she has to be smart and she has to do this. She goes, you are being used. Be humble, Carla, be humble. Just show up and have faith. Take that leap and the net will appear. So I encourage you all to do that. Burn your boats. Watch this replay, those little clips of Dr. Joe. And again, those are 6 minutes. Our calls go for an hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours for each week. So if you want to join us, please message us. I'm going to stay on the call if you guys are interested in joining any of those programs or you want to be a coach. We'll stay on for a couple minutes. But other than that, thank you for your time. Thank you for your investment. And we'll do another one of these. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, everyone.